What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about a movie from a director that I really love a lot, Luca Guadagnino, who's put out quite a few movies over the past couple of years. The two most recent films being Challengers and Queer, which I loved both quite a bit. You can find both reviews on my channel if you want to check those out. This movie I heard absolutely nothing about. I don't even think I saw a trailer for it. And I saw, hey, a new Luca Guadagnino movie's out. And I'm like, how did I not know about this? And it had a brief run at my theater and I wasn't able to check it out. So it's available to watch on Prime Video right now. So I went and checked it out finally. The movie has had very like middling to low reactions. And considering the subject matter of the film, I always want to go into these things with my own mind because I feel like, societally speaking, people don't like talking about the Me Too movement and they do not like talking about sexual assault and those types of things, which boggles my mind that, people experience these horrible things and, it's taboo or like it's putting it in our face too much to talk about it in art, which I think is just really stupid. So I wanted to go see this movie on my own and see how I was going to feel about it. And the film I'm going to be discussing with you today is After the Hunt. After the Hunt is directed by Luca Guadagnino. A college professor finds herself at a personal and professional crossroads when a star pupil levels an accusation against one of her colleagues, and a dark secret from her own past threatens to come to light. So, I was super excited to watch this movie. Like I said, I'm a big Luca Guadagnino fan, which is one of the reasons why I couldn't wait to see this. And I think a lot of the criticisms for this movie are incredibly unfair. I don't think it's Luca's best movie by any means. There's definitely some pacing issues in the movie. Some of it feels a little bit repetitive, but I do think it handles its subject matter very well. I think the discussions that it's trying to have surrounding these types of issues and the way that it presents itself, it covers a lot of array of area that I think makes it something that you'll think about long after it's over. Even though not every moment is the most compelling thing you'll see, I definitely don't think it's as bad as a lot of people are making it out to be. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit with you when I break the movie down today. So at the beginning of the movie, we are introduced to Alma, played by Julia Roberts, who is a college professor, and she is at this party being held at the university that she works at. And we're introduced to all of these different characters, but the main characters that we're really going to be focusing on in the movie is Hank, played by Andrew Garfield, and Maggie, played by Ayo Edebiri. And Hank is one of the professors there, and Maggie is one of the star pupils that works alongside the teachers because of how great she is doing at school. And they all are at this party. They're all discussing the future. Alma, I believe, is up for tenure at the university, and she's really nervous about it, but everybody's like, you're a shoo-in, you're going to do totally fine. The evening ends, and Hank asks Maggie if he can walk her home. And so she goes there, and Alma ends up going home. And we're following through Alma's perspective. And the next day, she ends up coming to school, and Maggie comes into her office, and she's a complete and total mess. And she breaks down and says that Hank went back to her room with her. She's queer, and her partner's away. And she said he started asking her incredibly inappropriate questions about their relationship and like if there was ever a man involved, and that eventually he assaulted her. And she said no over and over again, and he just wouldn't listen. And so she completely breaks down into tears. And Alma has this reaction at first where you can see she wants to believe her, but she's also known her colleague for a really long time. And so it's like this conflicting thing in that moment. And Maggie can essentially sense that right away, which creates a little bit of conflict. And the movie ends up becoming this whole scene of a professor assaults a student, and what are the ramifications of that for all of the people involved, how they react, and like who's going to believe who. And it turns into this kind of like scandal, mystery, and societal commentary with all of these really interesting characters. So, like I said, I enjoyed this movie. I definitely don't think it's perfect. It's not one of my favorite films in Lucas' catalog, unfortunately, but there are a lot of things to appreciate. For starters, this is a star-studded cast, and they're all really incredible in the movie. Julia Roberts is always good. I feel like she does a really great job in this movie. Ayo Edebiri is a star. I love her and everything that she's in, and I feel like she is really one of the highlights in this film. I liked Andrew Garfield a lot, especially like his character doing this horrible action. He does a really great job playing the likable, everybody loves him type of guy, and no one could ever expect him to do something so horrible, which is one of the things that makes the movie so compelling, is that he's such a talented actor that like the sleaze is there and you can feel it, but there's also like the way he manipulates others around him, I think is just, it was really a well done performance. could put Michael Stuhlbarg in anything and I'm going to love it, and he is phenomenal in this movie as well. He provides a lot of the humor in the film because it's a lot heavier of a movie. Whenever he's on screen, I really appreciated it a lot. Chloë Sevigny's in this for a little while. She's great. I could go through the whole cast of characters. They all do a really nice job. It's a Luca Guadagnino movie. The cinematography is absolutely breathtaking. I feel like the focus on connection with characters and like hugs and where like hands are placed, certain things, where characters are placed in the frame really help establish character, or help establish power dynamics in a way that I think is incredibly effective and needed for something like this. I think the power dynamics is one of the most interesting elements of the movie when you think about what is happening and how people are perceiving it, especially in the confines of a university that is normally white male dominated. And I thought that that was a really great part of the film as well. The utilization of music is great. The sound design in this, especially, there's a ticking clock element, literally, where you hear a clock ticking in the background, and it was anxiety inducing. There were certain moments I was like, please just make that stop, because it makes you feel so incredibly uncomfortable and kind of puts you into the perspective of these characters and just how, this situation. It's interesting because you watch Ayo Edebiri's character, and nobody wants to believe it at first, and it's like she's living this experience and she's hearing all the people like, no, he couldn't do this, no, this could never happen. And I can't even imagine being in that position, being the person that no one wants to believe. And I just think Luca does a really great job with that. And like I said, the movie's not perfect, but I do think that it handles the subject matter really well, because the Me Too movement, obviously incredibly important in our society, calling out people in positions of power that have done horrible things, utilizing their positions of power to commit sexual assault and in order to get things that they want, especially white men mostly. And it was a part of our time where obviously, people are still being called out for their actions now, which horrible people should be called out for their actions. But it's interesting because culturally, the way that it was received is like, it became a conversation about believing women. Then a large portion of the right wanted to come out and say people were just fabricating these things and they could just say whatever they wanted. And I think Luca showcases this in a way that's really interesting, because it's one of those situations where you always want to believe a person who says that they have been through a horrible situation for certain. But human beings have doubt instilled in their minds, especially when they know other people. And I think a lot of the complexities about being in that situation in that moment, Luca manages to handle in a way that kind of puts you through the eyes of those characters and makes you feel it in a very palpable way, which is difficult to do when you're talking about subjects that are this intense and effective, especially when it comes to sexual assault, which is something that can leave a lasting and horrid impact on whoever is involved, especially the women who are assaulted in those cases, and the trauma that they have to live through and the way that they have to get out on the other side. I just think there's so many moments in this that lives in a way that works really well. Some of the dialogue, there's people that accuse it of being very pretentious, and I think that's all in the eye of the beholder. If you enjoy this type of dialogue, I didn't find any of it to feel overtly pretentious. Some of it was a little on the nose. There was one moment in particular where like Alma and Chloë Sevigny's character went to this bar and like the Smiths were playing on there, and she's like, "Oh, they're playing the Smiths in here. That's a little risky." Like some of those moments were a little kind of roll your eyes. I understand what Luke is going for, but like some of those moments didn't work. But I feel like the conversations about it head on worked really well. And then like the conversations of people who have experienced assault previously and then going through this situation and watching it happen to another person, and like the repressing your own trauma, not living through it, blaming yourself. There's a lot of really great moments of that there. I think my biggest issue with this movie, like I said, it's about 2.5 hours long and it's way too long. There were a lot of moments that I feel like could have been trimmed or moved around that kind of take away from the suspense and how it's trying to build up for you as an audience member. I was just really disappointed in some of the moments. It's not nearly Luca's most compelling film, but I think if you're interested in the subject matter and any of this sounds interesting to you, you'll find something to appreciate with it. So have you seen After the Hunt? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was very good, despite a lot of the middling criticisms. It's not Luca's best film by any means, but I still think there's enough here to find some enjoyment in. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, it helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.